The role of Valkyries in Norse mythology. The Valkyries were powerful female figures in Norse mythology, serving Odin, the Allfather, as choosers of the slain. Their primary role was to select warriors who had died bravely in battle and guide their souls to Valhalla, Odin's great hall, where they would become Einherjar, elite fighters preparing for Ragnarok, the final battle. Key roles of Valkyries. Selecting the fallen. Valkyries rode across battlefields, deciding which warriors would die and which would live. Half of the fallen went to Valhalla, while the other half were taken to Folkvangr, the realm of the goddess Freya. Serving in Valhalla. Once in Valhalla, the Valkyries served mead to the Einherjar, ensuring they were well-fed and ready for battle. Shaping fate. Some myths suggest Valkyries had influence over destiny, weaving the fates of warriors and even defying Odin's commands at times. Warrior spirits. Though often depicted as supernatural beings, some Valkyries were said to be mortal women who had been granted divine power by Odin. Valkyries were both feared and revered, appearing in battle as winged warriors or riding wolves and horses. They were sometimes linked to ravens, symbols of death and prophecy. The Valkyries' betrayal. In the twilight realm between the living and the dead, where Odin's warriors feast in Valhalla, there was once a Valkyrie named Astrid, whose wings carried both honor and danger. She had served Odin faithfully, choosing the slain, guiding warriors into eternity. But in the quiet shadows of the battlefield, she had done the unthinkable. She had fallen in love with a mortal. Eirik, a fearless warrior, had caught her gaze, not with his strength alone, but with his defiance of fate. When death came for him, he did not beg for life, nor did he bow to the gods. He laughed, as though death was merely another adventure to conquer. But Astrid could not let him go. On the eve of his choosing, when his soul was to be carried to Valhalla, Astrid hesitated. Instead of lifting him into the halls of Odin, she stole his fate, binding him to the land of the living. The stars above trembled. Valkyries did not betray their duty. Odin saw, Odin knew. For her defiance, Astrid was cast down. Her wings withered, her immortality shattered, and she was cursed to wander the realm of men, never again to touch the skies. Yet Eirik searched for her, knowing that somewhere beyond the veil, Astrid still existed. Would he find her before Odin's wrath reached them both? Would love defy destiny, or would the gods reclaim what was stolen? The Forsaken Valkyrie, a tale of love and wrath. Beneath the stormlit skies of Asgard, where Odin's warriors feasted and the dead were honored, there was once a Valkyrie named Astrid, whose name was sung in war cries and whispered in prayers. She was fierce, riding the winds, guiding souls to Valhalla, unyielding in duty. Until she fell in love. It was not with a god, nor a warrior marked for eternity, but with Eirik, a mortal whose fate had been written in the blood of battle. He was meant to die, to rise as one of Odin's chosen, to drink among the Einherjar until Ragnarok called him to war. But Astrid saw fire in his heart, a defiance unlike any warrior before him. She could not let him go. On the night of his choosing, when his soul was to be carried beyond the veil, Astrid shattered the threads of fate. Instead of lifting him to Valhalla, she stole his destiny, binding him to the land of the living. Odin saw, Odin knew. For her defiance, Astrid was cast down. Her wings burned, her immortality fractured, and she was cursed to walk the mortal realm, never to ascend again. But Eirik did not accept the god's punishment. He swore to find Astrid, even as shadows whispered of Odin's wrath chasing them both. What mortal dared defy the will of the Allfather? What Valkyrie could hope to escape his judgment? As Astrid fled into the unknown, as Eirik searched across the 9 realms, destiny trembled, for love had made war against the gods themselves. The prophecy of the Forsaken Valkyrie. Long before Astrid's betrayal, before she fell from the skies for the sake of love, the Norns, weavers of fate, whispered of a prophecy hidden in the depths of time. When a Valkyrie denies the gods, when love defies war, the 9 realms shall tremble, and the echoes of fate shall unravel. Few dared speak of the prophecy, for it foretold chaos beyond Ragnarok, a change in the very fabric of destiny. If a Valkyrie were to forsake Odin, to choose a mortal's love over her divine duty, the balance between the living and the fallen would crack. And now, that moment had come. Astrid's choice had set the prophecy into motion. Shadows shifted, the halls of Valhalla stirred, and the gods themselves watched in silence as destiny threatened to collapse. Was she the key to a new order? Or would Odin's wrath erase her existence before the prophecy could be fulfilled? Did the Norns truly foresee a world unbound, where mortals and gods alike could defy the fate carved for them? Astrid and Eirik were no longer running from divine punishment. They were racing toward the unraveling of fate itself. The relic of the forsaken Valkyrie. Deep beneath the roots of Yggdrasil, hidden within the forgotten ruins of the Vanir gods, there lay an artifact feared even by Odin himself, the Tear of Verdandi. It was no ordinary relic. Crafted in the dawn of time by the Norns, the weavers of fate, the Tear held the power to rewrite destiny itself. Legends whispered that those who possessed it could undo the threads of fate, bending time, altering history, and defying the will of the gods. For centuries, the Tear had remained lost, guarded by ancient magic and hidden beyond the reach of mortals. But now, fate had chosen Astrid, the forsaken Valkyrie, to find it. Odin knew of the prophecy. The Valkyrie who rejected her duty, who defied the gods for love, would one day seek the Tear. If she succeeded, Valhalla itself could fall, and the warriors bound to its halls would be free to forge a new era beyond the gods' control. As Astrid fled across the realms with Eirik, hunted by Odin's wrath, she realized the truth. Her fall from grace had never been a mere punishment. It had been a test, a path leading her to the relic of destiny, where the fate of mortals, gods, and all existence would be decided. Would she dare claim the Tear of Verdandi, knowing the cost? Would she rewrite the world, or would the gods strike her down before the prophecy could be fulfilled? Chapter 7. The Tear of Verdandi. Astrid had come too far to turn back. The Tear of Verdandi, the relic that could rewrite destiny, lay before her, sealed within an ancient altar at the heart of the forgotten realm beneath Yggdrasil's roots. But time was against her. Odin's hunters were closing in, and Eirik lay dying, his mortal body failing after escaping the god's wrath for far too long. If she hesitated, if she faltered, he would be lost. The guardian of the Tear rose from the shadows, a being forged of time itself, its voice echoing across the stones. "You wish to claim fate? You dare defy the gods?" Astrid raised her sword, but the guardian did not attack. Instead, it revealed the truth. The Tear did not grant wishes, it demanded sacrifice. To rewrite destiny, one life must be given in exchange for another. She knew the cost. If she used the Tear to save Eirik, it meant losing herself, her essence, her name, her existence as a Valkyrie. She would never again ride the winds of battle, never again soar among the gods. But Eirik was her choice. Without hesitation, she grasped the Tear, feeling its power pulse through her fingers. She whispered his name, calling him back from the edge of the abyss, shattering the chains of death that bound him. As Eirik drew his first breath, as life surged through him once more, Astrid felt herself fade. Her wings crumbled into dust, her immortality vanished, and the presence of the gods receded, leaving her in the mortal realm forever. She had been forsaken, but she had chosen love. Eirik rose, eyes burning with the fire of life renewed. He saw her standing before him, no longer a Valkyrie, but a woman, a warrior, his Astrid. Without words, without hesitation, he held her, knowing that fate had been defied, that love had conquered even the gods. Together, they walked away, leaving the Tear behind, its power spent, its purpose fulfilled. The gods did not chase them. The prophecy had been written, and now a new era had begun, one where love, not fate, ruled the world. And so, Astrid and Eirik's legend lived on, not among the gods, but in the realm of mortals, whispered in fireside tales, carried in the wind, never forgotten. Epilogue: A Whisper in the Wind. Years passed, and Astrid and Eirik lived far from the reach of Odin's halls. They built a home by the edge of the world, where the sea met the sky and time felt endless. No longer bound by fate, they wrote their own story, one of love, defiance, and freedom. But the gods never forget. On storm-filled nights, when the sky burned with lightning, Astrid sometimes felt the echo of her past, the weight of destiny that she had once carried, the wings she had lost. And Eirik, though mortal, sometimes heard whispers in the wind, voices of Valkyries who still spoke her name, who still remembered her defiance. Then, one night, beneath the northern lights, Astrid awoke to a shadow at their door. A presence she had not felt in years. A raven, black as the void, perched upon their threshold, watching. Not as a warning, nor as a threat, but as a silent messenger. A reminder. For though she had left the gods behind, though she had rewritten fate, some bonds could never fully break. As Astrid and Eirik stood together, watching the raven vanish into the night, they understood. Their legend was far from over.